Welcome. Today we're out in the field. We're looking at CREP as our new sign-up. It's the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. And today I wanted to talk to you about the CP21s, the 1s and 2. My name is John and I come from Sandusky, Michigan as your soil conservationist. So today we have a meandering stream here on the side of two ag fields. Of the two ag fields we have soybeans planted. With the beans at the very end, a little bit farther to our north, we have where the stream continues working uphill, and you can see actually rocks where it's trying to slow the turbidity into our area that we have in front of us today. The area that we have in front of us today, a couple of things that we want to notate or look at is your bed, which is at the bottom, your bank, which is your sides, and then at the same time, one of the things that you key in on the suitability sheets is how much water, be that seasonal, intermittent, or etc. With that, in this site, before we came out, I wanted to do a little bit of a research. First off, the producer wasn't sure where he wanted to look at in his field. The focus is getting records established with FSA, looking at your cropping history, and then from that, with CREP, it's located on the map itself, so the map in your county office will show if it can qualify or not. At the same time, when they do the environmental assessment, they'll identify that if the erodibility index meets 8 or greater, then it may also qualify for a 1 or a 2 practice. If it does not meet 8 or greater, then we're just looking at the CREP CP21 as a filter strip. For that filter strip, the next thing that we'd want to talk about is the landowner willing to do the minimum of 50 feet. At that time, you should be considering, if they're not interested in going 50 feet out, maybe the continuous sign-up would be better, focused on the minimum being 20. And then we also have another practice for SAFE, the State Acres for Wildlife Enhancement, which is a filter strip, and that is focused on wildlife. So it's very much based on what the landowner would like to do, and at the same time getting him or her out on the landscape will kind of key into what the objectives are. Now that the landowner has accepted that he'd like to go 50 feet, at this time we are 50 feet from the edge. Normally your edge profile from the side is, imagine your dual rolling off the bank, that top portion. If you have any further questions about the bank, check out the policy. But at this time, the landowner has committed to the 50 feet and he's interested in possibly doing more. So at that time, 50 feet and greater, up to 1,000 feet, is what we'd be looking at to what the landowner objective would be. So while we're in the office, and at that time we get the erodibility index back, and then we're looking still at the CP21. A great reference point would be going to Web Soil Survey. With Web Soil Survey, we'd be looking at our soil map. From the soil map, we identified that this field here in this area is a Park Hill loam. With the Park Hill loam series, we then dial in. With dialing in, we look, is it hydric? This area is considered hydric, and if you see on the map, the northern area is 66%, and as we go south, it shows 100%. From that, we look at what is our water table. The water table from January to December during the season can be or at near 0 inches. The next thing I like to look at is our infiltration rates, and that's through your hydrologic soil group. In this case, C or D was identified. The question that comes up is, why is it C or D? C would be as if the field is tiled. In this case, this field is not tiled. It would be D, then being not tiled. So moving on, coming out to the site, we want to observe exactly what our map layers are showing us, because having reference points to what we're looking at in the field will then check you off for your needs and feasibility sheets later on. Out here on the landscape, as we look, you can see the darker areas in the field. That helps to showcase for us that perched water table that may be in the spring of the year or at 0. Coming back to our stream, we still see that there's water within this area. It can be a man-made conveyance channel, or ditch or stream, etc. This I would say is intermediate at best because it's not just after the rains, but because of the water table and the hydric soils, it allows that material to still run down to the south. Later on you'll see the elevation map, and the elevation map you can see on the contours going to the south, which is then connected to a county drain. So with that, based on the landowner objective, we're looking at what is our width. And as the width parameter that we're looking at in this field, as long as the landowner is comfortable with the 50 feet, he can then go one step further. So as we meander down the way, we're getting to the county drain. And with the county drain, I always want to say, just like we just last ended with our vegetation on the side, as the vegetation is, we want to look at when is the county drain actually doing their work, their maintenance work. And by identifying or asking the landowner when was the last time, that would also help with that long-term establishment of your property. As you see in front of me, I have a lot of thistle and I got some burdock. A lot of this stuff comes from the spoils that come out of the ditch, and then you can almost see there's an edge to where we've leveled. With that edge and the leveling, this area might have some compaction due to the nature of actually leveling out the sediment and stuff. And sometimes when you take it from the bottom of the ditch, you've got clays, you've got different soil textures and stuff, so that could create like a compacted zone. So when you get to planting, you need to take all these into observation, and at the same time, while you're out on the landscape with the client, you can ask them, because they know the land the best. Is there a gas pipeline? Where's the utilities? All these things come into play when we're looking as a planner to the next 10-year cycles. We can then go back to the office and report back to FSA with our needs and feasibility sheets saying, yes, because of our maps, which we have documented, yes, based on the vegetation, the water, the bed bank flow, everything is matching, we can continue this producer through to the next level. This site is a hydric soil. He has a perched water table at or near 0 inches. Come the spring into the different parts of the season. And at that time, when we start talking about species, we'd be looking at this time when you look out, you'll see a little bit darker soil series. That park hill is showing that moisture is elevated. I would probably recommend a cool season planting. As part as a cool season planting, you have to have 5 cool season species. That's normally your Timothy, orchard, alfalfa, clover, and red top, 3 grasses. With that being said, these plants will go into senescent later in the fall and earlier in the spring, so that we can maximize the production of this site, so that we can actually start building the soil profile before it hits intermediate stream. If this was a warm season area, I would want to not see the perched water table or the frequent ponding, and at the same time I'd be looking at possibly a drier site. It still may be 0 to 2% slope, but it would hold those native plants much better for that establishment. You wouldn't have that competition. With native grasses, they need to emerge at 60-degree temperatures at the soil surface, so that's later on. With those, you need to have, for the CP2, 9 species. You have to have 3 native grasses and then 6 flowers. So between the CP21, focus on your 393 job sheet or specifications, but with the CP1 and 2, focus on the 327 standards for grass plantings. I wanted to talk about our management or maintenance. At this time, we have to identify what types of vegetation do we have on our edges. In many cases, we have brome grass, reed canary grass, fescues, etc. And when we try to establish a planting site, be that cool season or warm season, these species can spread very easily by seed. And at the same time, Mother Nature has different things like wild carrot and thistle and etc. that's already in the seed bank in the agricultural field. So when we get established, we want to be time sensitive, and with that being a cool season planting, we may need to do a soil test to see if we need any fertilization. Normally, warm season grasses doesn't need that fertilization because they mine for their nutrients. But in this case, we need to see those seeds, because if these seeds are already exposed to our planting site, that is our competition. And at that time, that's where you want to be proactive, not reactive.